Here we go. Greetings, everyone. This is Lumination, and it is your mini generic love and relationship report for April 2019. And this one's for you, Gemini, okay? Before we get into it, I'm just going to do a quick overview of the spread. You might have seen this before. The whole idea is that we're going to lay out the cards like this, okay? And the idea is that it's done on the understanding that you're always radiating energy, and the other parties are always radiating energy. We use the laws of attraction here, and there would be you, there would be the other, and there would be the thing that you own, which is the relationship itself over here, which is a third entity, which has its own meaning, energy, purpose, and life force. And you guys own that, whether you like it or not, know it or not. And of course, a lot of people just relate like this, okay? However, from the Tarot Lumination perspective, we like to go much deeper. And the relationship itself has its own energy. You're always transmitting and receiving energy. The relationship has life, okay? And also you're fermenting something. You're growing things in the relationship itself. A crucible is a bowl type structure, typically very high refractory ceramic that can withstand and endure intense pressures that happen in laboratory chemical reactions, which is the same as what happens in human behavior, human relationships, especially one-on-one intimate relationships. It is a laboratory. It's an amazing phenomenon. It's a living, breathing thing, okay? So we'll get you some story coming out of this, okay, in a moment. So have a look. Cards are already well shuffled in advance. I'm not going to pay too much attention to the astrology this month because it's lightening up tremendously. I think we all need a break. And yeah, there's been some big shifts. The Pisces new moon, the big shift of Uranus into Taurus, and the full moon coming out of March has been really pivotal, a massive gateway period for everybody. Uranus into Taurus especially, okay? So we're allowing for that now. Let's just enjoy the feeling of being through the gateway now, and life is progressing and moving on in a high, unpredictable, amorphous, enjoyable way. It's literally like arriving in a new place in a new world. Even though everything might look the same, it's actually different, including relationship. So you'll see how the spread shows up in just a moment when we pull the cards, okay? So, Geminis, bring in your invisible friends. I invite you, okay? And let's make a team effort out of it. This is what we do here at Tarot Lumination, okay? So bless the card. Bless every card in the deck. Bless you, Gemini. Bless the channels and the cameras and the technology and the platform for doing it. This is your energy, all right, Gemini? Think of yourself as like a smartphone, radiating energy. We're employing the laws of attraction. What is it attracted back to you? Singles, you can even watch this if you want to, okay? On the understanding that you're radiating, and what if there was someone or situation out there? What would that be like, okay? Deep down inside of you, deep down inside of the other, and to the core of the relationship itself. Okay, so I'm hoping you can see here the crucible and what is being germinated here, what is flowering here. Think of this as a business. You own it. It doesn't sound very like loving or romantic, but it is an enterprise. You guys own an enterprise. Also remember, this is not a couple's reading. It's actually all about you, Gemini, and the supporting cast in the story and the little movie is over here, okay? We're going to look at surrounding conditions, like environmental influences. I like to think of it as the weather that permeates everything out here. That would be the equivalent of this energy out here coming at you from the world around you. You know, maybe the New Zealand crisis, maybe Wall Street, maybe your neighbors, maybe your work, whatever it is, the pressures of the world, and then what is it that you're radiating outwards, okay? So let's have a look. Let's get started. You have the Two of Swords. So you might be lingering in the after effects of Mercury retrograde through March, because it takes at least another 3 weeks and probably even halfway into April before things steady out again with Mercury. So my feeling here is to basically almost think of yourself like a I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but sort of like a dragonfly or a butterfly or a crab or an insect or a cat with whiskers or a dog with whiskers or something like your like physical body that has really, really acute antennae and whiskers and sensory systems all around you. What I'm sensing from the Two of Swords here right now is that it's very, very important for you, Gemini, to pay very close attention to what is happening to you in the spiritual plane, in the great beyond, in the land of the invisible. Think of Uranus and Taurus just entering your 12th house. You can watch for your sun, moon, and rising, by the way, too, as well, you know, if you're a Gemini moon or a Gemini rising. And these are going to be radical shifts and changes in your sense of divinity, your sense of inspiration, also in ways that you could learn more and more how you might be exposed to more and more self-defeating behavior, okay? And then what to do about it, okay? So this, to me, this looks like a time to be very sensory, almost like be prepared, be willing to tune into your psychic senses. Things like clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairsmelliance, clairknowance, everything you can imagine that comes from the great beyond. And you pick it up with your divine antenna, like intuition, okay? And then you kind of sit on it for a while before you make any decisions. Have you ever watched butterflies in nature or insects in nature when their antennae and whiskers are just sitting there like moving and sensing things? That's all I'm suggesting right now. This is a time to absorb information from the great beyond and integrate that into your being before you communicate and radiate outwards. So very, very, very gentle, okay? What would you be radiating yourself here? Look at this. Aw. So that's your reading. I mean, it's almost like you're bulletproof. You can't go wrong. So with the sun card, with the energy of the sun here, my feeling is that it's very pure. It's very simple. It's the energy of joy. It's the energy of wanting joy if you don't have joy. It's the energy of sharing and radiating joy when you do have joy. Again, this sounds very strange, but like imagine a butterfly, like a beautiful monarch or something, and it lands on a flower, and they're not necessarily aware about how beautiful they are to human beings, but they're sitting there and they're opening up and they're just radiating their wonderful selves, okay? And their antennas are up, they're sensing energy and they're transmitting energy, and it's good. And it's like all you're interested is in what works, what defines happiness, whatever it is that makes you happy, and then tuning into that. And anything and everything that is not that, just tune out of it. And that's perfectly okay to do that. You don't have to live a life where you're totally like subservient or in obligation to certain moral codes or thoughts or conditions or preconditions that are surrounding you that might confound you or confuse you or translate into self-sabotage. No, you have a right to be you in your own unique way that you've never been before. And it looks like this is what you're doing. This is what you want to do if you don't have it. And it's what you're sensing is your right, okay? And, you know, that's very, very pure and simple. It makes, it's like it keeps your heart open for a lot of possibility, a lot of potential to happen. What's over here in the significant other? Okay, with the Ten of Pentacles, this in a loving relationship type of spread, when I see pentacles like this, I see this as evidence of love, evidence of meaning, evidence of value, evidence of long-term, tangible ingredients of love. In other words, from the Tarot Lumination perspective, the things that are really most valuable and most important in love and relationship are things like, and this isn't going to make sense to you guys probably, but things like kindness, compassion, patience, companionship, deep affection, maintenance of things like truth, honesty, structure, integrity, respect, deep respect, a good set of long-term values that are substantial and that are genuine and that hold up. No fakery, no phoniness. And it wouldn't hurt to have a little bit of money as well, okay? So you might be, Gemini, in a situation where you're, let's say, if you're radiating energy, very positive energy like this in your own way, okay? And they're radiating very good quality evidential energy like this in their own way. This in its own way is very compatible type of energy, okay? Now that's just basically on the surface of things like the day-to-day aspects of life. And, you know, who knows what's going on deeper. I like to watch this as a movie and see how the story unfolds. We don't pull out all the cards at once and then scan it, okay? So my feeling is, for you, Gemini, right now, pay very, very close to the physical evidence of what's happening in love and relationship. Are you witnessing and seeing and experiencing and receiving those qualities that I mentioned over here that would translate into joy over here? In other words, it's very satisfying to be respected, very satisfying to be valued. It's very satisfying and joyful to receive kindness, compassion, patience, and understanding, and good listening, and enjoyable company, companionship, quality time. All of those things can translate into like very simple words like comfort or contentment. And that's very good. That's very desirable in a relationship. It may not equate to things like thrills or excitement or instant passion or anything, but it's more the energy of something substantial and whole and wholesome. Okay. What about deep down inside over here? Okay, so with the death card here, my feeling is that this is very much to do with the Uranus and Taurus energy that's happening over in your 12th house, moving through. It's just started. Literally, it's just started, and it's a 7-year journey, and it's going to bring deep, profound changes to you internally at the spiritual level. And you're going to have to pay attention very closely in your own evolution through love and relationship for this long extended journey. Okay, this is just a little thing for April right now, but I see this as a very, very big long-term implication where you are going to change from the inside out, from the very depths of your being inside out in the context of a relationship. Okay, like the relationship can be the mirror where you actually get the measure of change. Like, how am I changing? How do I see that change as reflected back to me from a significant other? And what is it that is dying off and being left behind as you evolve, and grow, and adapt, and blossom in your own way? And this might not be very comfortable. In other words, as what seemingly as delicious as all this is, deep, profound transformations are happening inside of you, which they're inevitable, okay? Can't stop that happening. Also, you might be suffering a little bit of aftershock from the huge Pisces new moon eclipse in early March. No, it wasn't an eclipse, excuse me. It was just it was very, very strong, and that would have been very challenging for all Gemini. So you might be dealing with the ripple effects all through April, okay? Over here, let's have a look at the significant other. So with the Page of Cups here, my feeling is that in a relationship dynamic, when you have something, in a way, this is very, very simple, okay? It's very, very pure, very, very simple, very like comprehensive, understandable. I'm not going to repeat everything I just said about this and this, but it's almost like, hold on, let me get something. I want to do a little illustration here. Give me a moment and I'll be right back. Here we go. So here it is. Okay, you're in the crucible, all right? This is the crucible. And in the crucible, we're always in a state of intimacy and separation. Intimacy and separate. We intimate, we separate, okay? All day, every day. Sometimes the patterns and the wave patterns go on for weeks and months. Sometimes for minutes or days or hours, weeks, or something like that. So when you're looking at everything from here, at this level, this looks very comfortable. From over here at Terra Lumination. It looks literally something like this. heart energy with heart energy. Measurable, joyful, reciprocal. Reciprocal, like mutual appreciation, here to here, here to here. Like, this is good. This would be the energy of like good companionship. You know, companionship in a loving relationship is very valuable. Deep down, going through radical, significant, irreversible changes, that is going to impact the other person. That's going to impact the relationship. I don't see it in any like really turbulent ways, but I do see it putting them in a position where they realize that they're going to have to be like very gentle going forward in the way that they conduct themselves in the relationship, and that it's very important for you, Gemini, to go very, very gently through April and allow this to unfold around you. In other words, it's almost like you don't have to do much except be you, and then witness and observe what's happening and what's coming to you from a significant other, okay? And with, I'm not going to say with any luck, but from their perspective, it looks to me like their intentions are good, and all they're interested in is in what works. And it's almost like this energy of like, gosh, I hope this works. I hope this is actually real or true, at least to some extent, at least to one component of my relationship with the Gemini. Okay, I hope so, because really all I want is the very same simple thing that the Gemini wants, okay? And I'm coming at it from this direction with this purpose and this meaning, and I only want what works, okay? All I want is to be loving and to be loved, okay? So I'm already starting to learn in my own innocent way that I need to be loving in order to be loved. So I'm learning over here that I have to maintain these standards, these qualities, these measurable tokens of evidence of love, okay, in order for things to work and continue. And you would see that, the other party, excuse me, not you, Gemini, the other party would see that and sense that and know that simply from almost maybe just your body language. So long as this keeps radiating here, then they know that they're on track. And that's all they need to know. In other words, if you're sending out body language, verbal, physical, whatever it might be, passion, communications, whatever it is, whenever it's coming out of you and radiating out of you in a very simple, understandable, joyful way, then it would be received over here, like from their radar. Imagine like each of you has like an antenna and a radar. You've got your transmitter and receiver. They've got their transmitter and receiver. And so long as they keep sensing this energy of simple joy coming from you, they know they're on track, and that all they have to do is keep responding with what works already. Anytime, like, let's just make this big. Anytime this diminishes and goes kind of like, their innocent self would realize that they're off track, and they need to get back on track with what works so that you feel good, feel better, and you come back into the light again, which triggers joy in them, and it reciprocates. So it's like a mutual appreciation society. It's mutual benefit. And it's very simple. All they have to do is observe you and this, allow for your transformations. They can't, your deep transformation is almost nothing to do with them, except that it might be happening in the context of this relationship. So in some ways, you guys are both very valuable to each other. Of course, in completely different ways, but I see that the value is there, and they are expressing it and reflecting it back to you. In other words, they value you in your own way that you value them, so it's reciprocal, okay? There might be a high degree of innocence here, of really not actually knowing. Let's just say, for example, you're Gemini, but your significant other never does tarot readings or anything like that, and they wouldn't even dare, and you wouldn't even dare tell them you do tarot readings about your love and relationship. You have to understand, Gemini, they may be, it doesn't mean just because you don't do tarot or read tarot or watch tarot illumination or do the astrology, it doesn't mean that you're not a loving or spiritually evolved person. It just might not be your thing. So we have to allow for a degree of innocence in the significant other, in that they may not like be as fluent as you, Gemini, with all these matters, but the intentions are there. The intentions are good, and they only want what works, okay? Let's have a look at the relationship itself. Okay, so with the Knight of Swords here, sorry, the Page of Swords, what we have, it's kind of like a, to me it's kind of like it's about time. It's about time we have this kind of relationship dynamic where we get to like the deeper core truths of what happens in relationship, the stuff that can only be sensed through your heightened sensory perception, almost to the level of ESP, extrasensory perception. And so you, Gemini, benefit from being in this relationship to the point where you are getting a chance to go deeper and experience the relationship in a more spiritually profound, psychically aware type of manner. And your ability to transform your life is now beginning, okay, in ways that it's never had a chance to do before. So this is kind of like a culling energy, like when you combine the Death with the Page of Swords here, it's like it's about time. It's about time for you, Gemini, to come into this place where you can cut through the CRAP and get to start getting to what works. It's almost like without having to actually talk about it with you guys, it's almost like you're in a situation where both of you want to get to the truth of the matter, the realities of the situation, the true understanding of the relationship and what works, like being a truth vigilante, okay? In other words, we're sick of phony. I'm sick of phony. They're sick of phony. They only want what works. You only want what makes you happy. So let's do something about it. And that can mean eliminating, first of all, identifying and then eliminating anything that doesn't work, especially regarding communications, understandings, attitudes, beliefs, basically the way people behave and conduct themselves with each other. So to me, this is good news. What are we fostering here? Okay, don't be scared of this. This is the Devil card. My feeling here is that, some people would interpret this in a completely different way, and you're welcome to do that. I'm giving you the Tarot Illumination story right now. The way I see it, like when I watch a movie, like when people watch a movie, they might have a different experience. So over here, my feeling is that you, in this dynamic here of this thing, okay, let me show you. Let me go back to the reference point here. In the whole of this thing, where there's you, there's the other, deep in you, deep in the other, then the relationship itself and what is being fostered and germinating here, to me it looks like it's an awareness of discovering the bindings and the limitations of relationship that are unwelcome. So I think, again, it's very much to do with this energy here and this energy here, starting to learn in very new and perhaps maybe at times uncomfortable ways, identifying what doesn't work in a relationship in order to be healthy. In other words, they want this, you want that. You're radiating this as best you can. They're radiating this as best as they can. And this is really sumptuous. This together is very sumptuous. But deep down, like just right under the covers of the relationship, there's a whole other story unfolding here. And it's like a discovery. Like, to me, it looks like a slow, gentle discovery of like, oh my gosh, wow, I'm the Gemini. I had no idea how impaired I was in relationship because of this attitude or this belief or my like shyness or unwillingness to communicate or my over communicating or something like that. And you create these psychological mental traps between oneself and another. And you realize, oh my gosh, that's so limiting. That's what we need to cut. And you can't cut. You know what we talk about on Tarot Illumination, on some of the other channel reports about how you got to reveal it to heal it. There's like, you can't evolve and grow in a loving relationship simply just by piling on, more paint. You know how, like, if there's a house or something, you can't just keep piling on more and more paint to keep it looking cute. Eventually, all of that stuff falls off and you have to go back to the core basics. That's what I think is happening here. And what you discover is like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I'm figuring out what doesn't work. I'm so happy that I am understanding the nature of the bindings of relationship in ways that don't work, because then I can liberate myself, okay, by hacking away what doesn't work. It doesn't have to be vicious or mean or vindictive or anything. You just have to become aware of it. Also, the other thing with this, the devil card energy here is an awareness about how delicious and satisfying it can be at times to have that sense of binding in relationship. Some people get confused between like codependency and love, and there are different ways that people define love. I think this is a really good time for you, Gemini, in the context of a potentially loving relationship dynamic, to really go deep within and to understand what is it that, how do you define love, okay? Perhaps you're going to get some hints from the other significant other in their energy coming back to you, and then you'll have a better understanding. Then it's very, very liberating. You can discover like, wow, this is so cool. Now I'm seeing very, very clearly. It's like the curtain is being pulled away. You can see very clearly all the things that didn't work or don't work or never will work. And then that gives you the chance to transform and heal and move on. And this reading may sound like highly contradictory or maybe even controversial. And it's all about you, Gemini. So let's pretend like they don't even know about this reading. It's like, in a way, they don't even have to know, okay? Because each of you has your own internal journey anyway. You're still being you. They're still being themselves, but you're just conducting all this and having this life experience in the context of relationship, okay? So this is a classic reading where we can see one aspect of the relationship like this, okay? There's you, there's the other, Sun, Ten of Pentacles, okay? But there's a whole other story over here. And this is so important to understand, okay? So people might recognize in you that you, Gemini, in the context of your relationship, are really transforming and changing at a very deep soul level, almost in ways that cannot be communicated outwardly at this point. It's way too early. These energies are way too strong right now. This energy of having to really tune in to the very the places and parts that you wouldn't ever normally want to. You're realizing and seeing the advantages of doing it, and then allowing oneself to identify what doesn't work, identify what is delicious and what does work, and just stick with that. Stick with the good stuff, okay? And be prepared over time, eventually, to let go of the bad stuff that doesn't work. We have to identify it first of all. So I think this is very much like a learning experience for Geminis, a valuable learning experience on how to be happy and how to be happier in love and relationship, okay? I'm going to leave this over here, and then you can reinterpret however you like, okay? Thank you so much, Gemini. All the best in April. You know where to come. Check out the links below. Thank you for subscribing, please. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments. I read every comment. Also, please consider membership. It's the best way to say thank you for the little reading here. All in the links below, or maybe at the end screen or something like that, okay? Thank you very much, Gemini. All the best. Bye-bye.